With the world under attack by Malekith and his Dark Norse forces, it's up to heroes from all over the world and every different team to come together to combat this evil. All this and more in the pages of Champions issue number 5. Let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? Alrighty then, so even though this is a tie into War of Realms, we actually get to hook back up into what's happening in the main Champions book. Miles Morales is still in Saudi Arabia right now in a kind of self-imposed exile, following his regretful deal with Mephisto just to really twist the knife, and he just so happens to be hanging out in the home of the mother of the girl whose life he inadvertently ended up trading to save the lives of his teammates. Man, this poor kid Miles, there is not enough Dr. Phil in the world to deal with the issues that he is accumulating right now. It's on television that Miles sees the Ice Giants touch down in New York, and he begins to wonder to himself where exactly his team, the Champions, are at during this very moment. Hey, but wait a minute, in the McElroy books, Miles was already in New York when Malekith's forces touched down. It doesn't seem like he came here after, but that's all besides the point. Over in Australia, the rest of the Champions team is duking it out with the army of trolls that is looking to take over the island nation for themselves. They fight as best as they can, but it's made abundantly clear that the team is stretched way too thin, and Kamala maligns the fact that all of her founding members are, well, nowhere to be found with her right now. Miles is dealing with a crisis of faith. Amadeus Cho is with the agents of Atlas right now. Nova is back out in space trying to get his helmet. Riri and Viv are missing in action, and poor Nadia Pym the Wasp is dealing with a bipolar meltdown. Help might actually come, though, from the most unlikely of places. You see, Pinpoint and Power Man decide to drop off some much-needed medical supplies to the poor heroes who are still trapped behind enemy lines in New York. Some of those heroes just so happen to be members of the X-Men, well, members of the X-Men who are still left around after everything that's been going on in their book. The two important members are, of course, the Summer Brothers, Alex and Scott. When Cyclops hears about the plight of the Champions, he ends up jumping into action. In fact, he even reiterates that classic line of Professor X's from the early X-Men stories, only now retrofitted. Instead of "to me, my X-Men," it's "to me, my champions." Now, why does Cyclops care so much about the Champions? Well, as you'll remember, when Mark Waid first started writing the book, young time-displaced Cyclops was actually a member of the team. And much to Miss Marvel's pleasant surprise, Scott totally remembers the time he spent on the Champions, his younger self's memories fusing into his own memories. Don't ask how that works or how it could potentially affect the timeline. Cyclops sure doesn't. He basically just says, "Meh, when you're a superhero, this stuff happens every day." Cyclops helps repel the trolls from Australia, and all the while we get an internal monologue from Miss Marvel talking about how she always heard about the bad stuff adult Cyclops ended up doing, all the horrible choices that he made, and how all of this is honestly her meeting him for the very first time all over again, and so far as she can tell, he's only every bit the hero that his younger self was. Why, even in Miss Marvel's time of need as a leader of a young super team, she looks to a guy who probably knows more about leading young super teams in the Marvel Universe than just about anyone else. What I actually really like about Cyclops' advice too is he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He says, "Yeah, Kamala, you're having it rough right now. It sucks, and you know what? It's not gonna get any better. In fact, if you've been around as long as the X-Men, it's probably only gonna get worse and more complicated, but it's in moments like this that the true mettle of a hero is tested." And he knows enough about Miss Marvel and the Champions to know that they're gonna come out just fine on the other side, eventually. Now, as the comic winds down, Cyclops returns to the other X-Men, and Havoc, his brother, starts chewing him out a little bit for leaving his team in the lurch, only for Cyclops to say, "Hey, the Champions are my team too," as the comic eventually comes to a close. And so that was Champions issue number 5, everybody, and I gotta say, it was a fun little tie, and I feel this is a story that they really had to tell now that old original recipe Cyclops is back. And I think it's a nice bit of character growth that Cyclops went from the odd man out on the team, being the same age as everyone else, but also have a completely different reference pool, to now actually someone that Kamala Khan as leader of the team can look to for advice. Plus, you know, the War of Realms is such a huge world-encompassing threat, it really begins to test what the Champions grew their ranks for in the first place. And I appreciate Zub showing us all the growing pains that come along with that. Overall, I'd give this a 7.5 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you really like what I do, you might want to pick up a Cape Joel shirt. Yes, that's right, I have my own merch store over at TeePublic. Check out for great designs like my little Cape Man, stuff from the comic multiverse, fun stickers, in-jokes. We got it all over at the TeePublic store. You can check it out right now. And I will be sure to see you all again next time. Bye-bye.